After a long wait at the National Collation Center in Abuja, Bola Tinubu, the candidate of the All Progressives Congress (APC), has been declared the winner of the presidential election. Good afternoon and welcome to the second segment of the Arise News continuous coverage of the presidential and National Assembly elections. Great job indeed by our very own Dr. Ruben Abati, Rufai Oseni, and of course Ayo Mairo Esse, who just handed the baton to my colleagues Cynthia Are, Rotis Odiri, and myself. I am Bambai Mutiniri.
I'm Rotis Odiri. Welcome to the show.
I am Cynthia Are. For the next 3 hours, we shall be bringing you all that you need to know about Nigeria's presidential and National Assembly elections. Stay with us.
Now, after a long wait at the National Collation Center in Abuja, Bola Tinubu, the candidate of the All Progressives Congress (APC), has been declared the winner of the presidential election. Chairperson of the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC), Mahmood Yakubu, announced the results in the wee hours of Wednesday morning. Yakubu said Tinubu secured a total of 8,794,726 votes. Atiku Abubakar of the People's Democratic Party (PDP) had the second highest figure with 6,984,520 votes, while Peter Obi of the Labour Party was next with 6,101,533 votes. Yakubu added that the issuance of the certificate of return to Tinubu will take place at 3 p.m. on Wednesday. Well, Nigerians are still
coming to terms with the implications of the pronouncement of Bola Tinubu as the president-elect of Nigeria. Last weekend's hugely disputed election. Now, Arise analyst Dayo Shobowale joins us now to take a preliminary look at this development. Mr. Shobowale, you are very, very welcome. We have had you for a long time yesterday analyzing things, and we have a winner. We have a winner. So, what is it? Was it expected? Now we can talk about predictions. Now, did you expect?
Of course,
Tinubu was expected,
I always
right?
did, in spite of the obstacle. And to me, it's a consummation. You get me, a realization of his local indignation, total serious vindication. I'm happy about that. Yes.
Okay.
Are you not?
Well, I mean, we remain neutral. We couldn't give any predictions ahead of time. But yeah, Cynthia, go right ahead.
I've been at it for some time.
Well, happy you're happy, right? So I'm just during the president-elect speech. I'm already getting used to this. The president-elect speech. He extended an olive branch, talking about collaboration with the other presidential candidates of the other parties. I'm just wondering if you think that is something that we should actually expect to see manifest.
Yes. If you know his background and his pedigree as a consummate and pragmatic politician, he will reach out to his opponents.
I mean, the acceptance of the presidential candidates of the other parties, do you think they will actually collaborate with him, seeing that they are contending with the outcome?
Because that he has already made them. What is happening is that he's displayed magnanimity in victory. Magnanimity, which I'm not surprised. He's a veteran politician. I knew the hard, tortuous way he took, both within the party and with his government, which is the government of the day, to reach where he is today, President-elect of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Now, while we see him extending an olive branch to his compatriots in the political space, the fact remains is that of the 24 million votes cast, Bola Tinubu emerged with 8 million. There's still over 12 million Nigerians who do not endorse him as their president. How do you think he will tackle the fact that he's actually working against the majority of the nation?
And just to add to that point, that's the lowest popular votes total, I think, since Shagari in 1979. I think Shagari got about 5.2 million votes. And just to add to our point, 6.8. So that's the lowest as far as it has historically for elections with popular vote.
Fact from the victory. See, you are talking as if you are running a two-party system. It is a multi-party system. And it is a presidential system in which winner takes all. So that is it. And if the number of votes are the smallest, it shows voter apathy is manifesting itself. And I know the causes of the voter apathy. The monetary policy introduced on the eve of the election, fuel shortage, and sadness of people, and penury, poverty all over the land. Get me? That made people angry, literally, to access the political arena. So that can be accountable for that low comparative apathy.
Can he play, to add to Vimba's point, can he play the role of a unifier? Because again, I'm sorry, I just play with numbers a lot. President Buhari in 2019 had an absolute majority. It was 15 million votes. Atiku had 11, and the remaining candidates had less than 100,000. So even if you add that 11.1 million, it's still versus a absolute, mandate, 15 million votes for the APC back in 2015. So for now, 2019. So for now, 2023, with the apathy you're talking about, the anger, can he play the role of unifier for the people? Is that his first call of duty in his, another speech to the nation?
Yes, I think he will do even more than that. Like I said, he knew how he got this far. But Nigerians know what happened. Like I said here sometime, the populace or the electorate is angry with the ruling party, but is sympathetic to the candidate of the ruling party because of the Emilokon syndrome.
Yeah.
They felt it was cheated. And I said, if they have empathy for that cheating and appreciate his indignation, he will come in. This is precisely what has happened.
Now, Mr. Shobowale, whether we choose to, throw light on it or not, international observers and, some members of the electorate have cried foul with how this whole process has played out. So I'm just curious as regards how people will be very accepting of this if they feel cheated to an extent.
Look, after any election, those who lose resort to agitation, protest. It is legitimate. In a democracy, the majority must have its way. They have given the way to the president-elect. But dissent is part of democracy. Those who are agitating, those who are questioning the process and all that, know what to do within the ambits of the rule of law.
Yeah.
But the minority can only have its say, cannot have its way, especially when you have a new president-elect.
The minority?
That is what is. The minority
Yes.
cannot have its way, can only have a say. In a let me say it again. In a democracy.
When you said the minority, it's because I'm looking at the percentage or the number of those who might feel disenfranchised or like it didn't go.
It's not one versus two. It's a multi-party system. And in this particular instance now, see what Obi got. It's like God just divided the votes into three states almost equally.
Yeah.
Nobody expected that. And I told you earlier that the political equation has changed for this election. Because you have never had so much suffering, so much high-handedness on the part of a ruling government to its people on the eve of an election like we did. And even, you must comment Tinubu for something.
Yeah.
All he was looking for was that there should be nothing to rock the boat. Do you get that?
Yeah.
Because he felt confident he could do it.
Yeah.
And he knew the obstacles on his path, and God has helped him through. Yes, he is the president-elect of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Mr. Shobowale, listen, he won, and I believe that a lot of people are watching and celebrating with you, and that's the joy of democracy,
right.
Is that ultimately we all have to celebrate Nigeria and move forward from this. But you touched on voter apathy earlier,
Yes.
and I know you alluded to the harsh economic conditions that prevailed, especially on the eve of election and on election day. Now, we look at last year's voter turnout, 2019, the last election, 35%. This year, we're looking at just between 24 and 25%. However, when you read the reports and when you look back at the reports of the situation rooms, people's feedback on voting day, people as celebrated as Aliko Dangote, who came out and made comments about how this is the hugest voter turnout that they've witnessed since they voted. How did that not collate? How would you explain the differentiation between witnesses who can confirm that the number of people who came out to vote is a record number of people versus the statistics that show that actually this is the lowest number of people who've ever voted in Nigerian history, full stop?
Okay,
how do we manage that discrepancy?
If you watch the presentation of the results by the resident electoral commissioners, you see the level of cancellation was very high. I'm surprised people are not talking about that. Very high. Due to overvoting, due to violence and brigandage and hoodlums disturbing. It was very high. Get me? But aside from that, look at the basic statistics. Say, look at Lagos. Registered voters, 6.something,
million.
almost 7 million.
Yeah.
How many people voted? Less than
1.2, 1.
So what happened? Did they vamoose into Kenya? They did not turn up.
Okay,
It's not even up to 25%.
Yeah. Okay. So does that mean, Mr. Shobowale, we've talked about our census data, the possibility that the population might be inflated. To Vimba's point, is it because I want to throw this to you? Some are saying that our voter registration numbers possibly need to be revised. There may be people who have passed away from the last election who have not been removed from the rolls. The data itself could be less than the total number that they're saying. So is it possible that because to your point, the accreditation numbers from the registered voters were almost cut in half. So is it possible that those numbers are not, in the first place, need to be revised?
Well, you have brought in census.
Yeah.
That's a polemical issue.
Yeah.
I'll address that later. But you see, in the case of registered voters, you will notice that during registration, INEC is very, very active. Very, very active. They mobilize people. You get me? I'm not saying they are manipulated figures.
Yeah.
But then to make themselves relevant and important for an upcoming election, they have to show that people are ready to vote. And the very people don't come to vote. We have never had half of the registered voters voting in any election in this country.
Right.
You get me?
Yeah.
And then this particular one was agitated. People were agitated not to be inclined towards the political system or to exercise their franchise because of the Naira redesign thing and fuel shortage and other things, impediment that were put in the way of ordinary people, denying them access to their right to choose.
But at the same time, Dr. Shobowale, calling you Dr. Shobowale, you Dr. Mr. Shobowale. That's probably a prophecy anyway, so it's fine. When we look at what's happened, with former President Olusegun Obasanjo, for instance, what he said that on the operational level, that INEC, has been compromised. INEC officials on the operational level has been compromised. No matter, what's been said in terms of feedback, there might be something worth looking into when it comes to that, because from what the analysts or observers have said, INEC did not deliver as promised. We saw numerous videos where some of those at the polling units were basically doing things that were illegal. So I'm just wondering, moving forward, let's just project for the next election. Do you foresee INEC being relegated to the background and alternatives being explored? Because the issue of trust seems to have gone out the window after what has happened with this election.
Well, I wouldn't agree totally with you. If INEC has not performed, there will be no results. but we have the results. You can give them failure mark, maybe less than 50. But then, they have performed up to, see, there is one principle. A man cannot perform beyond the level of his competence, which is precisely what INEC has done. The software they have brought was not well tested. It was not effective. It proved unreliable when it mattered. And it could not work as they said it's work. But then we stumbled along, and we had the result.
But we kept seeing, a lot of...
If you want, you can give them 45%, but they have performed.
I don't know about the signing points, but when we look at, what was said by the INEC chairman, and then he kept on changing his tune at various points as he deemed fit. We have a video of him saying in November that, there'll be live transmission of results and whatnot. And then he said collation during the process this week. He said collation is based on, I think submission during the, and not necessarily upload, something like that. But he has changed his tune so many times. And if IREV and BVAS was not going to deliver as promised, then why did he say that everything was good to go?
That's right. You see, unless you really want to hang the INEC chairman, you cannot blame him for it. He's a professor of political science, I presume. Right. He's not an IT man. So he has to rely on IT experts, and he can only say what they have told him. And if the service delivery of the software they are using, if it's not performing on the day, I know the buck stops on his table. But you have to admit that there is some delegated responsibility somewhere that has failed. Some people say they should go and arrest the IT people. I wouldn't buy that. Maybe they too did their best, but like I said, IT deployment and service delivery relies a lot on training and testing. So how much of that did they do? You could see even the logistics, like we said. People are bringing something to some airports, and they are going to take them the same day to some distances as far as 100 kilometers, 200 kilometers. It is a logistical impossibility. Yes. And that happened. Delay in delivery materials, lack of knowledge of those who are to use the electronic gadgets, lack of performance of the software that was used in the process, and all that. There are problems. They are technical human problems that will happen in any election. Okay, let me give you an example. See America, my famous Donald Trump. He said the 2020 election was stolen. So what finished him was that because of COVID, email balloting came in. Do you get me now? Yeah. That's why I was trying to recognize COVID. Yeah. Because he knew if they succeed with COVID and they do email balloting, the post offices are filled with blacks, and blacks are Democrats. So somebody even said the election in the US took place not on the voting survey, but in the post offices, and they lost. Yeah. Nobody is whipping anybody over that. But America is our example of democracy, parliamentary democracy. We are carrying them on our shoulders as if they are God. They mess up with their own election too. Have you ever had anybody call? Do you even know who is the INEC chairman in America? INEC chairman. Now you want to crucify this guy?
Okay. Now, yesterday, over the past few days, not just yourself, but various members of the ruling party dismissed challenges that were being made by the opposition about cancelling the process, and the general opinion, of course, there were various schools of thought, but there was a school of thought that said that this process should be seen to completion and then challenges should be brought. Now we've seen the process to completion. Should INEC be a respondent in this case that is about to be brought? We know that there's legal cases being built as we speak. People are working round the clock. Now, when we look at the failures of INEC to deliver, we know that there are, certain allegations being made to the ruling party themselves or to various political parties. But INEC itself, is it time that we made them a respondent, or that the opposition, who are unhappy with the result, made them a respondent in the court of law?
So you are trying to jump the gun. See, the legal system in Nigeria, there are so many sons than those who are not even sons. You can bet your life that litigations will flow from all angles. So don't let us waste our breath on that. I'm not a lawyer. Get me? When the drama starts to unfold in the courts, you will be happy to be entertained. Yeah. It will unfold.
So having said that,
Yes.
will any of that drama have INEC defending its position in the court of
Are
law?
you a lawyer?
No, I'm asking your opinion, because remember you had a position saying that we should see the process through. So if you have a position on us seeing the process through, you should also have a position on what happens now that the process is over, right?
What you should ask me now, in fairness to the INEC chairman, is that he promised there will be a review once the process is over. Why don't they take him up on that? He has announced the president-elect. Now, you can ask him, is a review possible before we go for litigation? I'm not a lawyer.
Right.
Yes. I'm sure the lawyers will have a field day to your satisfaction.
How does he? Obviously, we're going to be looking backwards at the process. We're going to be looking forwards at his ability to govern.
Yeah.
How do you think he can thread that needle in between the voter apathy against the ruling party that he represents and, in your estimation, some sympathy towards him? How does he walk that balance between the two?
Look at his antecedents. And look at the Emilocon syndrome.
Yes.
Was predicated on the fact that literally he put the incumbent president there.
He said so himself.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he built bridges.
Yeah.
In fact, when the incumbent president was being sold to some Nigerians, especially in the South, people were very hesitant. Very hesitant, but he stuck his neck out. And the president served 2 terms. Now, they said he was disabled, he couldn't work properly, and all that. He campaigned all over the country. And he had more votes in the North than in the South. Get me? I mean, he owes obligations to those people in the North who allowed him to make the breakthrough. He's obligated to reach across to them. And already, he's a bridge builder. You see, he's a bridge builder. Many of the people, look at Atiku and Tinubu, they have always been in one party or the other.
Yes.
Obi too. See, what happened this election was that Labour literally booted out PDP out of political existence.
Yeah.
But it is not something that happened in a vacuum. Obi was in PDP before.
Yep.
Maybe just whistle to his people, it's our turn, but on a different platform. And they castrated PDP, literally.
Yeah. Strong language. So wait, does that mean, in your estimate, Mr. Shobowale, is Labour the new opposition party in Nigeria?
From the look of things.
Yeah.
Whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
See, that is the beauty of this election. The emergence of Labour. Predicated on the anger of youths. Get me? And the suffering of our youths. The lack of future or hope for them in their own country. When graduates become motor drivers, they are driving downfall and things like that. They have put their anger, you get me, in a positive pot now that hopefully will help them out. You can't deny that Obi is the wonder boy of this election.
Indeed.
Sam?
I'm going to start saying Sam soon.
I'm sorry. I'm start doing it. I'm
Sorry about that.
No,
I'm sorry about
like
that.
it. I like it a lot.
Sam with me for that.
I'm gonna
Thank you, Mr. Shobowale.
Yes.
So I'm wondering, at what point can we make a definite decision on whether President Muhammadu Buhari has lived up to his legacy of administering or giving Nigerians a free, fair, and credible election? At what point can we decide?
Whether you like it or not, this election has happened on its beat. You get me? And how do I put it? It is
what it is.
democratic,
Okay.
democratic election
Yep.
on his bid. So far, that's all I can concede to him. Because I really think he didn't give a damn about his legacy. Because everybody who is responsive to those who elected him will not put in place the policies he put in place on the eve of the election in which his own party's candidate
was running.
Having said that,
Yes.
where do we go next? As Cynthia said, there's one element of looking at when can we make a decision on President Buhari's legacy on this election. However, if you take a brief look at social media at the moment, you find that a lot of Nigerians are still holding their breath. There's still a spirit of anticipation. What comes next? We feel cheated. We feel robbed. At what point do they exhale and say, well, this is what's there? Do Nigerians still have to exercise patience until the court process is done, until we get to Inauguration Day? Or is this the point that the various opposition party members and their followers say it is done?
People will go to court. So let's just flog this point. People will agitate. People will go to court and seek redress. And don't think that they don't have a chance. The courts are there to redress alleged wrongs according to the constitution of the land. So don't think this is a fait accompli. But that is the result of our election. We have to live with it. Let those who want to celebrate.
Yes.
And those who want to, no, I won't say they will mourn, but those who are
You're still hopeful
less
that
happy
something
mood,
can happen.
Wait, so
learn to live with it.
So, Mr. Shobowale, so if you're saying there's a chance, are you saying, I mean, this is just we're speculating here,
Yes.
that you could have a repeat of what we saw in Oshun or any of the other, even in Bayelsa, the miracle governor?
That is always a possibility in a constitutional democratic system. Yes.
But does that not mean that the courts have to move quickly because they can't waste time and he's in the middle of his first term and you now decide that he's not the president anymore?
Nigerian courts don't have a reputation of moving
Very slowly.
moving swiftly.
Yeah.
You remember that was the case on this for design.
Yes.
They posted after the election.
Yes.
I said this year that it's like closing the stable doors after the horses are bolted.
Yes.
But then, if there is no static situation, if they know that this is a matter of urgent public importance, they should accelerate hearings and sit even on Sundays. If they are patriotic Nigerians and if they respect the yearnings and the art of those who have lost out in the electoral process.
Thank you, Mr. Shobowale. So for those, members of...
Sorry, you mentioned something about census before.
Yeah, the population numbers, whether they are, accurate, are data issues, Mr. Shobowale. That's the point I was making there was, are we really 200 million or 185?
Maybe we are going to have another
census this year.
This year,
yeah.
We shall see about that.
Yeah.
See, don't know why we must have a census in an election year.
Right. Another Buhari decision. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
But you see, our census, I don't want to give concern to anybody. If you look at our census figures, they don't correspond with climatic, geographic conditions and topography of the nation.
Yeah.
We have a nation where people migrate north-south perennially, seeking water, seeking pasture, food, and all that. But we have always had a census in which the point of migration gets having more figures than the destination of migration.
Right.
So you can read into that. Hopefully,
Yes.
but I don't want us to
Yes.
discuss census yet. So let's live with that. Yes.
Okay, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Shobowale. So,
Pleasure.
for we spoke about voter apathy earlier on, in terms of registered voters and the turnout. Now, for those who might have, showed up on election day or voted and they feel, like we've been discussing, disenfranchised or like they were robbed or cheated, we know that the courts are not going to move swiftly enough for them to probably see how things play out or how things end. Come March 11th, do you think that we're going to see even more voter apathy because some members of the electorate have lost faith in the process?
You see, voter apathy is relative and even geographical, right? In Lagos, there will be no voter apathy on that March 11th. Because some people have been jolted to reality and are hurting.
That is a showdown coming up.
You can bet there will be no voter apathy in Lagos. I don't know of other places. I can say that categorically of Lagos. But then, it depends on the situational victories of the various parties. They have divided the country, they are partitioned into 3 now.
Yes.
12, 12, 12.
Yes.
So if that is what we work on now, you bet people want to consolidate what they have gained. So people will come out, regardless of which people are agitating or going to court and all that. People will come out either to reaffirm or to redress or to struggle with the political equation so that it favors them one way or the other.
See, Mr. Shobowale, we're now in a really fascinating period of time. I want to push you on something.
Yes.
With Tinubu being revered as a master strategist,
is
it possible to douse, because with what is coming up in Lagos, it is all about Labour supporters and what they could do since they already won Labour. You think he could offer Peter Obi a position in his government to douse unrest or opposition from Labour supporters or appease them in a way? Do you think that's something
that needs to be sworn in before
that? Okay, so there's no time. Good point. For that's in May. That's in May. Okay, what if he mentions the promise of doing so before that?
But you see, he's a pragmatic politician. Yes. If that is what will buy peace, you get me? I'm sure we'll go for it.
But would you think Obi supporters will go for that?
Or do you think Obi will accept?
Look,
let me tell you something. I didn't like, and that's my personal opinion. I didn't like seeing Labour Party going with PDP to mount this opposition. They should enjoy their own rebirth.
Shout out to Pastor Sam, one of our technicians. He made that point when they were at the press conference. He kept making that point.
They have just come out of the embryo, shining. They should not get soiled by veterans of the road who are losing out. Yes.
Point.
Now, so many things here, but I think one of the common themes that we're discussing at the moment is how the nation is carved out, especially when we look at the upcoming gubernatorial elections and we look at some of the tensions in a state like Lagos State that have already become hugely driven by tribal sentiment. I've mentioned this to people in the past and people have brushed me off and said, not in Nigeria, but do you think that this is time for a sort of truth and reconciliation committee, a healing process? Is it time for all leaders to come together and see how they can create a sense of national healing? Because after this, we need to move on. But the truth is that right now, you look at the South, you look at the various geopolitical zones, and the division is more palpable than it's ever been, especially between tribes.
And let me just throw, I call you doctor as well. Let me just add my own question. Can you see a coalition government in the future? The way in Europe where different parties will come together and equally, can you see that? Just to add to Vimba's question.
This is a presidential system.
Yeah.
Winner takes all.
Well,
no sharing.
Not the parliamentary
well, Mr. Shobowale, sorry, I know I've asked the question already, but just to get into that, some of the key observers we have in town at the moment are Thabo Mbeki from South Africa and Uhuru Kenyatta from Kenya. Now, Thabo Mbeki mediated between a similar conflict in a Zimbabwean election, very closely run. Opposition felt that they had been robbed, and what he came up with was a government of national unity. Move over to Kenya, similar resolution in Uhuru Kenyatta's own government. He's here on the ground on the moment. I don't think it's a coincidence that both of those gentlemen gentlemen are here. Thabo Mbeki was the same man who mediated and advised Uhuru Kenyatta to bring in his strongest opposition in the man of
Into
Raila
his government,
Odinga to become a prime minister.
Yeah.
And they changed the constitution of Kenya to accommodate for position of prime minister. How likely?
I see where you're going. Yeah, all right. Yeah,
We've got Thabo Mbeki here. We've got Uhuru Kenyatta here. Can it be a
You brought
coincidence?
these people up.
Yes.
They are poor examples for our democracy.
Okay, okay.
Thabo Mbeki had to deal with Mugabe. You know, who can you compare with Mugabe? Yeah? Was a master despot.
Yes.
Different conversation for another day.
That's one. Then Uhuru Kenyatta.
Yeah.
You get me?
Yeah.
Was dragged to the court at the
Supreme
Hague
Court.
for electoral violence. But he had become president then.
Yeah.
He refused to go, together with his vice president, who eventually succeeded him. So what do we have to learn from such people? With due respect to them. Please, our plight is not that bad. Let us have some dignity as a nation and respect the democracy we have.
So unity is still possible, that's the point.
Of course.
Yeah.
Is there any disunity?
Well,
Politics is a game of negotiation and appeasement.
Yes.
Yes. There's agitation. They must appease them. One way or the other. But it has to be constitutionally. It's not a parliamentary democracy.
Right.
I pointed out. It's a presidential system. Winner takes all. American system. You copied it.
Indeed.
Thank you, Mr. Shobowale. Now I'm just going to go to a quick flashback to a conversation I had not too long ago. I was speaking with a supporter of the Labour Party, and she told me that one of the concerns that she has about the outcome of this election is still that Muslim ticket bit. So for those that might share her own concerns, what advice would you give, whether it's to them or to the president-elect, on how to make the Christians who might feel a sense of concern be at ease?
It's like you are manufacturing fear now.
I'm not manufacturing fear.
Muslim that died.
Yeah,
literally. I'm a Christian. I'm not bothered about it. That died.
I'm telling you about a conversation I had, because when this person brought it to me, she genuinely looked concerned. So I'm just saying, for those that might have a bit of concern about that.
No, you should not generalize. To me, it's an isolated case.
Okay.
We are all Christians here. Do you share that fear? I can't even remember the Muslim ticket.
Right.
Nobody does.
That
has passed.
Right.
Let government function now. Yes.
Okay, now, Kwara State. A state that doesn't have a significant number of voters, but historically, any candidate who wins Kwara State tends to win the presidential election. So 99 Obasanjo, 2003 Obasanjo, we skipped 2007, 2011 Jonathan, 2015 Buhari. Just very quickly before we go, we're just rounding up now. Very quickly before we go, what do you think it is? Do you think it's a coincidence, or do you think there's something about Kwara State that gives it the power to predict that if you take Kwara State, then it has a predictive value in it that you will win the election?
It's a coincidence and a very obscure one.
What about the
South? Be preponderant.
What about the Southwest? It's always in a similar trajectory. Where the Southwest goes, usually the president, is where the Southwest usually picks the president.
No.
No, neither.
Look, let me tell you something. The Southwest, the fate of the Southwest has changed now. The Southwesterner is in power.
Yes.
This is the first time in years that people are not mourning in this part of the world because of election results.
Yeah.
Look back.
On that
Well,
note,
thank you, Mr.
Shobowale, always a pleasure having you. Always a pleasure having you.
Right, analyst. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your time and analysis, as always. Thank you.